the idea behind this is to reduce false alarms, to give customers more flexibility, to make it so you don't have to buy, say, a camera system and an alarm system if you don't want to or don't have the money. If you're going to be putting cameras all around your property anyway, why couldn't you just use those cameras as your alarm sensors? So instead of having motion detectors connected to an alarm system throughout your property, you already have the cameras, those detect motion and record video. What if they could just use that motion detection to like send a virtual alarm, right? But is it a practical solution? Personally, I think it's a super cool technology. I think it's cool that you can use a system that wasn't really designed for that to kind of add some more value. What are your thoughts on this?
90% of the time, you don't want to do it. Maybe 99% of the time. And there are a few scenarios where it works very well, but in conjunction with an alarm system, as opposed to in place of an alarm system.
That is one cool thing. So you have the ability to tie the cameras into the alarm system, or vice versa, right? So you can have the two systems talk to each other so that they work together. This isn't really playing into the whole, well, you only have to buy one system thing, but I think this is where this type of setup using cameras as like an alarm system is really the only way that it makes sense. There's a couple reasons why I don't think that using cameras as your alarm system, only as your alarm system, is a good idea. And that's because with a traditional alarm system, obviously you're gonna have your door contacts, you're gonna have your motion detectors, you can have glass break sensors, all this stuff, right? Cameras, they only do one thing, they detect motion. So you're not gonna get that like door activity, you're not gonna get the glass break activity. The other thing is cameras, fun fact, don't see motion the same way that a alarm system motion would see motion, right? With your alarm system, they're looking at more of like thermals, like heat, typically. So they'll see, ambient room temperature, and then when a human walks by, they're cooking at whatever humans are cooking at. And cameras, they just see changes in the pixels. So that could be a balloon, it could be a tree, it could be a butterfly, it could be, whatever. It's just gonna go off for that, right? Of course, there is smart cameras that are able to identify people, cars, stuff like that. But once again, it's detecting a change in the pixels, not the actual heat detection type of deal. So
right. So if somebody broke in to your building wearing a bear costume, it would say, no, I'm not gonna set off the alarm. That's a bear. Right. That's not a human. We're looking for humans.
Yeah. Bear's fine.
Right. Bear, but if it was a motion detector, then it would see the human inside the bear costume.
Yeah.
Right. Or you went in and as a trash bag, like you just put something over you so it couldn't detect the human. Yeah. The camera would say, I don't see a human. But the motion detector would say, no, I feel you.
So, cameras see at night. Like if it's a pitch black room, the camera can see at night because it's using those, infrared, those LEDs, infrared LEDs, right, to brighten the scene. There is ways to counteract those. So basically rendering the camera useless. We're not gonna really go into that because I'm not giving out free advice how to, get around that. But that could be a problem too, So with a traditional motion detector for an alarm system, you're not gonna have that kind of an issue.
In your expert opinion, as an expert, when would you recommend using a security camera as the input into your alarm system?
Well, as the expert here, I would recommend using this in two scenarios. One, you have loitering detection. So cameras are really good at figuring out if somebody has been loitering in an area, and that can be a trigger into your alarm system saying, hey, somebody's here longer than they should be, do something about it. And the second is for perimeter detection. So using thermal cameras can be really good down like a fence line. It is gonna recognize that, there's some sort of heat pattern. You can tell it's a person, but there's a heat pattern. Say you draw like a line on the camera and say, hey, if somebody crosses from this point of the line to this point of the line, trigger an alarm. It's gonna see that person cross over that line, might be a fence line or something like that, a wall, whatever have you. And the camera will be really good for that. and then that can trigger your alarm system to actually send out an alarm. But as a whole, this isn't something that I would say, you know, say you're a new customer or something like that, and you're like, hey, should I buy an alarm system or a camera system, or do I only need one? I'm not gonna just say, hey, buy the camera system. That's gonna be your one-stop shop for an alarm. I still think they both serve very important purposes on, you know, each of their specialities. But it is super cool, and I'm glad people are doing cool stuff like this. So that's kind of why I wanted to highlight this, is that I think it's really neat that people are coming up with new ideas, and maybe one day a scenario will come up where we're like, oh, this would be a great use case. It hasn't come up yet, but I think it's really cool when people start doing cool new things.
And if you think it's cool when people do new things, why don't you go ahead and like this video so we know, and share it so your friends know.
Bye.